Hey guys, Mila Clark-Buckley, the Hangry Woman here, and today I'm doing a video that is the start of a series about just busting myths about diabetes and sharing the ways that people stigmatize people with diabetes. If you are looking for more diabetes related content in your life, be sure to give my video a thumbs up and subscribe. I talk about diabetes, everything from food to lifestyle tips to little things that I think can just help people live a better life with diabetes. I myself have type 1.5 diabetes, latent autoimmune diabetes in adults, which means eventually my pancreas will stop working. Still works a little bit, but in time, we'll see it stop working. And I have basically dealt with diabetes stigma since the beginning of time, basically. Since I was diagnosed with diabetes, I have consistently dealt with stigma. I have videos on my channel about the horrible things people have said to me on the internet about my type 2 diabetes diagnosis when I didn't know that I was misdiagnosed with diabetes and shared my story. I constantly am fielding comments from people who say that I am fat and I'm ugly and I deserve my diabetes, and of course I have diabetes, look at me. But we all know that people on the internet can be the most judgmental pricks of all time. So that's why I decided to do this series, because I think it happens more often than people realize. People make jokes or say things about people with diabetes, not realizing that their jokes further stigmatize and create an improper narrative about diabetes. And really, it's harmful to people's lives. It's harmful to people's well-being. And I think people think it's just words, it's just a joke. But what pisses me off really is that people don't joke about other illnesses the way that they joke about diabetes. And I am firmly in my belief that that is because people don't understand what diabetes is. I actually don't have a video on what different types of diabetes are, but I will leave down in the description box an article that details the different types of diabetes. It goes far beyond just type 1 and type 2. As you've seen with me, I'm right in kind of the middle with type 1.5. So it's a lot for people to learn, and I think people see, mostly when people see diabetes, they see type 2 diabetes because that's 90% of the cases of diabetes in the world, but they see it incorrectly. And I'm here to dispel those myths because I am so sick and tired of people acting like people with diabetes deserve this, acting like it's our fault that we have diabetes, and just joking about it and saying things in ways that just don't sit right with me and my spirit. So I have to vent about it, and I'm gonna vent about it. So I have two examples this week that are two very good examples. One that highlights the stigma around laziness of people with diabetes, and one that highlights the stigma around food. So we're gonna dive into those. I'm gonna put them up on screen. One is from a celebrity, a comedian actually, and I'm gonna put it out there because it was made in a meme. It has their name on it, and it's actually a comedian that I really like, so it was really hard for me to hear him say it, but that's one. The other is from somebody who does have a big following on Twitter, but I'm just going to post the tweet itself. I'm not going to post their name. And all this to say, like, this isn't so that you go bash them or harass them, but I really wanted to highlight just the inaccuracies that people tend to share when it comes to life with diabetes. I don't know if either two of these people have diabetes. If they did, I would hope that they wouldn't talk about themselves this way, or other people who are living with diabetes and like struggling, but I don't know. So it's out on the internet, it's public fodder. It wasn't behind an account that was private. It literally, both of these things were said out loud to the world. So I am going to share them. Okay, I'm actually gonna read this one because I want to make sure that I get it right, word for word as it was said, and then I will also put it up on screen. So this one said, people who lack self-love / self-worth usually suffer from diabetes. People who lack self-love / self-worth usually suffer from diabetes. So there's a lot to unpack in this one. And my first reaction, sorry, my face is itchy. My first reaction to this one was not a pretty one. I was furious when I saw it. I just thought to myself, like, how, number one, can you say that like people with diabetes lack self-love and don't care about themselves? Nothing could be further from the truth, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But also for you to say that like we suffer with diabetes is just so disgusting and such like ableist language. And it just made me really mad. So going back to people who suffer from diabetes, like don't care about themselves and lack self-love and self-worth, you do not ask for diabetes no matter the type of diabetes that you have. And like you could literally write that on my tombstone. Like I believe that wholeheartedly. It doesn't matter what type you have. It doesn't matter if you have autoimmune diabetes, if you have insulin resistant diabetes, if you have diabetes that is medication induced, that is caused by the surgical removal of your pancreas, if you have gestational diabetes. Like nobody asks for any type of diabetes. And when you do have diabetes, there is like an incredible amount of self-love and self-worth that it takes to be able to manage diabetes. On average, a person with diabetes makes over 100 decisions about their body every single day. And if you didn't love yourself and you didn't have any self-worth, you wouldn't make those decisions to have to be able to take care of yourself and keep yourself alive every day. And so what really frustrates me about that is that it plays into this narrative that people who have diabetes of any type are lazy, don't take care of themselves, don't look after themselves, couldn't care about their health like any less than whatever people think we do. And that is just simply not true. And I think if you ever meet someone with diabetes and you see us with our little like care packs of our needles and our insulin and our alcohol swabs and our blood sugar meters and scanning and checking our blood sugars like before every meal and sometimes during the day when we just don't feel good, you know that it takes a lot of work and a lot of hard work to be able to manage diabetes well, but it also still takes a lot of work to be able to manage diabetes in a way that is like your numbers aren't in range and you're not meeting your target goals. Like it's actually kind of hard to manage diabetes well, and it's hard to also manage diabetes not well. So it frustrates me and makes me really mad when somebody like puts this label on us like we're not trying, because it's like, obviously you have not met someone with diabetes, you have not seen what we struggle with physically and mentally, you don't see the bruises, you don't see the blood, you don't see the frustration, you don't see the analyzing, the charts and the graphs and the numbers, you don't see the calculations that go through our heads when we have to inject ourselves with a medication that could be lethal. You don't see any of that. And so for you to be able to write a tweet like that and then send it into the world means that you have clearly never observed what it takes to manage a life and a body with diabetes. And because of that, you can say something so ignorant and so stupid. It's honestly stupid. I wish that like, I blocked this person after I saw it because I was like, I just don't feel like I have a single other thing that I need to see from them after seeing that. And it could be because I'm hypersensitive just about the way that people talk about diabetes, but I think everybody should be. I don't think that it's okay to bash anybody with a medical condition, whether you think they caused it or not. Like, it's none of your freaking business. So I gotta throw my hands up at that one and just say that's an example of somebody who doesn't see or understand the hardships that come with living with a disability like diabetes. And diabetes is a disability. Perhaps I will do a video on that later down the line explaining why I believe that. But yeah, like I think that if you can make fun of any type of illness, that says something about you as a person, and it's not something that's good. Okay, the second one is really annoying. It's one of my like stigma pet peeves about diabetes, which is basically saying that any type of food causes diabetes. So Jim Gaffigan posted this, and like I said, I think he's really funny, and so it like pained me when I saw this, because I was like, this is like not a joke that you have to make to be funny, and people just like do this at our expense. But I'll put it up so you guys can see it. It's a picture of chicken and waffles, and it says, "I know it's lunch, but I want breakfast and diabetes, so I'll have the chicken and waffles and a shake." And whew, guys, food stigma is the stigma that like, it grinds my freaking gears, because people use food as a way to say, food excess, I guess, as like a way to say that that is what causes diabetes. When I like to say we all know that food is not a cause for diabetes, but we don't all know, because this joke happens probably most of any of the stigmatizing jokes. It's always food jokes that go like hand in hand with diabetes most commonly, I think. And so people don't know that there is no food, not even sugar, that causes diabetes. I'm gonna say that again for everybody in the back. There's no food that causes diabetes. What does cause diabetes, or factors, I would say that food is not a cause, however, it is a factor. So for some types of diabetes, overeating can cause weight gain, which can cause insulin resistance, which can cause diabetes. It's not a direct cause. Like, food is not causing the diabetes. It's like not the same thing. So when people say these food jokes, it again incorrectly perpetuates a stigma and a stereotype about people with diabetes that is untrue. So that's why we get questions like, can you eat that? Or we get questions like, oh, well, that has sugar in it, so like maybe you shouldn't eat it. Or we get statements like, oh, she's fat, no wonder she has diabetes. And the reason that that is so harmful is because those things do not equate. Like, being fat doesn't mean that you're unhealthy. Being fat doesn't mean that you have diabetes. Being fat doesn't mean you have type 2 diabetes. Prime example here. Being fat doesn't mean that there is something wrong with you. It's also not okay to judge people's food choices just in general. What is on somebody else's plate, what somebody else decides to eat, what somebody else decides to do with their life is none of your business. I'm sorry, it's not any of your business. So if you feel like you have to have a say in that, or you feel like you have to make a joke about that, it's not funny. You're making a joke about somebody's health, you're making a joke about somebody's well-being, and that is not okay. It's inappropriate. But also, jokes like that, like, it is literally memed. The thing is memed, guys. So it's gonna go around forever, and there's no disclaimer there that says like, this isn't how diabetes is caused, or this isn't true. And so people are going to see that when they already incorrectly think that diabetes is caused by eating too much sugar, they're going to be like, oh, haha, that's hilarious. And then they're gonna continue to share it without any context. And I think that that is super harmful, super inappropriate, and just really upsetting, honestly, that those jokes happen. And I know people are gonna like come at me like, oh, PC police, like, just like take a joke. It's like not aimed at you. It's, you know, whatever, it's funny, but it's not funny. Like, I don't think that jokes about health are funny unless my one, I will say, jokes about your health are funny when they come from other people who understand your health. And so like people with diabetes, like there are like tons of really great meme accounts about diabetes and that have like really hilarious jokes about like putting on your pump and getting caught on tubing, or like your CGM being like a door frame magnet, or, you know, just like jokes about your high blood sugar, low blood sugar, stuff like that. Those are funny because they come from experience. They come from somebody who understands what life with diabetes is like. But jokes like that are specifically centered around food, that are like the base level like stupidity about diabetes, I just don't find funny, especially when they don't come from people with diabetes. And someone with diabetes honestly would never make that joke, because we freaking know better. We know way better than that, than to say a crazy thing like that. So I think that, you know, that's a really good example of food shame and food stigma, and incorrectly labeling people with diabetes as people who eat too much like fatty food or sugary food when it's not true. I will also say that there have been plenty of times where I've had to like eat sugar to save my life. Like, going low and having low blood sugars, the only thing you can do to get your blood sugars up is to eat sugar, to eat pure sugar, apple juice, any kind, or honestly any kind of juice. Like apple sauces with high sugar, Gushers, gummy bears, glucose tabs are supposed to be the better option. But like, if I'm gonna come up from a low, I want to eat something that's like not hard to eat and also like quick sugar, because you want to come up fast. You don't want to dip down even lower. So as a person with diabetes, like, there's a complicated relationship with sugar, because on one hand, people think that sugar causes diabetes, but on the other hand, people don't realize that like sugar saves our lives from day to day, because like if we need it, we have to eat it. And like, you know, I don't even know what else to say about that, quite honestly. But those are the two this week that really stuck out to me. I keep a folder. It sounds so crazy. I keep a folder on my iPhone. I screenshot them as I see them, because I just think like instances of stigma seem innocent, but they're not. And so I find them and see them all the time. Sometimes they're directed toward me. Sometimes they're just in general things that I found that I've been like, what? Excuse me? And so I really want to keep doing this every single week, because I want to find ways to kind of like debunk these different stigmas about diabetes, and just show that like people with diabetes are a lot stronger than we're made out to be. We are smarter than we're made out to be. We work very hard on our bodies. Because we have to, because we die if we don't. And when people make jokes like that, it really minimizes the struggle and the reality of what it's like to live with diabetes, and that's just not cool. So I'm gonna keep calling these out and keep sharing them. One, because I want to vent, and two, because I think they're so inappropriate and they deserve call outs and they deserve mentions. So yeah, that's it for this video. I hope that you guys enjoyed kind of hearing my rant about these. I'll be doing more of them as I find more things, and you can always send them to me if you find any that you think deserve some like explanation and some context and debunking. And leave down below kind of like what you thought of those two posts. Like, how did they make you feel when you saw them pop up on screen? How did it feel to see people talking about diabetes that way? And like, what emotions does that bring up for you? I really want to hear that down below in the comments. You heard mine, you heard my like first reactions, and just how mad it made me. Oh Lord, child, it pissed me off. I was so like frustrated. Frustrated is like the constant word around stigma stuff, because it seems like it's never gonna end. But that's why I'm doing this, because I just want more people to know, like, one, it's okay to have diabetes. Like, it's not gonna be the end of the world. Yes, you do have to change some habits about your life. Yes, you do have to be more observant about your life in general, but like, you can do what you can to live a healthy life with diabetes, and for the most part, you will be okay. It's expensive, it is hard to live with, but like, you can handle it and you can do it. But yeah, I just, when I see those things, I guess I don't have any more words for it. When I see them, I'm silent. That's all that I have. So that's it for this video, guys. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up at the end, and yeah, subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate you watching, and I hope to see your comments down below about how these things made you feel, because it's pretty wild to see people openly saying stuff like this. That's it. I will see you guys in the next one. Take care. Bye.